Hello, hello. Welcome to another Real Raw Moment. It's been a little while since I've done one of these, but today's I feel like it just needs to be talked about. I'm going to title this one, How Dare You? Well, stick around for the answer to that and also the reason I'm asking the question. It's not going to be what you think. I don't think. But we'll see. You can let me know in the comments. So, through my journey in PA, Facebook groups have been a large part of my journey. There are more now today than there were when I was beginning my journey in 2016, which is a good thing in the grand scheme. There's been more people acknowledging PA, there's more people taking action, there's more accessibility to information. And when I started our group with Kelly, specifically this past July, we have a very um, solid mandate. We spent time with governing principles. We've done a lot of work to create the groundwork for the group that we have. Plus, I'm privileged to be a moderator in a couple other groups, including one large one that has over 13,000 people in it. And when I came into this, doing the advocacy work that I've started to do, specifically in July and now up to date, I have always believed in people understanding where someone is coming from when they're trying to do something productive or good in any cause, in particular in PA. And I've been shocked and a little saddened about the really not nice comments that I've received. Now, don't get me wrong, I have received many good ones. The bad ones don't outweigh the good, and they certainly don't deter me from doing the work. However, when I read these comments, I really want to try and understand the root cause of where the comment is coming from. Because in my mind, when I see somebody, anybody, doing something positive in any sort of cause, and certainly in PA, the more we work together, the more we work towards positivity and change, we're going to affect change. It staggers me. So I was actually talking to Kelly today about this, and he just brought up something interesting that, and then we'll go to this, the mentality or the feeling, not the mentality, but the absolute root cause feeling within that person. How dare you say what you're saying or do what you're doing in PA? And I believe that root cause, especially in PA, everybody's hurting. Some more than others, some are in different stages, some have been hurt more and deeply, differently. We all have a very different PA story, even though we have PA as a common denominator in our interactions. And so I wanted to address the how dare you concept, because what I'm seeing in groups is people fighting amongst themselves when we are all going through a common thing. And I do see a lot of vitriolic, a lot of really not nice speech and hate speech going back and forth in comments against people whom all of us are going through the same thing. Not the same way necessarily, but the same thing. And I feel like people get righteous indignation when anybody takes a lead or offers advice or has a different perspective or even calls some BS out. And I'm not talking in the sense of what I've seen, which is people saying like, oh, you're a joke, you don't know what you're talking about, or even meaner. Like I've seen some people really tear other parents down, other PA parents, and it makes no sense to me. So I wanted to just address that first about when you're commenting, even posting, and if you're coming from a place of hurt, and you're coming from a place of anger towards other PA parents, I ask that you check yourself at the door, so to speak, and take a moment to think that you're actually going against a fellow human who's experiencing the same thing as you, not in the same way, but the same thing. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to have the same ideological beliefs, religious beliefs, political beliefs. Those things are going to cause a bit of a rift between people. And that's okay. That is actually a common, we're not all going to be on the same page, singing from the same songbook, because we are all human beings and we have our own opinions and we have our own thoughts and our own way of dealing with things. But I ask that you take a moment when you read something, if it angers you, or it makes you sad, it makes you just indignant, or just like you get that knee-jerk reaction that you're going to sit there and you're going to type something out. Take a breath. Kelly and I often talk about the knee-jerk reaction, how both of us over the years have created an environment for ourselves that we don't immediately respond to anything. We give it 24 hours. We test it against our own value system, and we test it against our own emotions, and we do look and say, is there validity there? Is there not? Is this person hurt? Is this person angry? What does it mean to me? How am I reacting to it? These are actually really important skills in PA. And while I may be talking about here, I'm talking about reactions in a Facebook group, whether it be typing something out or, a laughing face when somebody's really expressed something from their soul, take that concept, not just applying it in Facebook, take it to applying it to court. Take it to applying to communication with your ex. Take it to applying to anything, well, really in life, but certainly anything in PA. Don't immediately react. Don't immediately say that that person is wrong or that person has no right. And that's the second part I want to dive into, the how dare you, and I'm going to put it onto actually the spotlight on myself here and say, have had people ask me that, how dare you? Where do you get off doing anything in PA? Where do you get off doing these real raw moments? Where do you get off doing a webinar? How dare you even think you understand? While these statements, and I've had them all, are hurtful, I also recognize that they come from a place of pain, a place of unresolved anger, and a place of probably lack of comprehension of what they're going through, lack of ability to find a way to deal with it. I mean, listen, PA is a never-ending grief cycle. How do we deal with that? How do we deal with all the things? So I do recognize that in people. And so let me address the how dare I part. Well, I believe that we all have the power to affect change. I believe that we all have the power to have compassion for our fellow human, regardless of who they are, even if it's the alienator, even if it's the family, certainly for our children, and certainly for ourselves. I believe that I personally have the skill set to create change. And I draw on a lot of different people to do that. I'm not a solo, venture. This is not my ego talking, although I can kind of hear the comments going, yeah, right. That's okay if you feel that way. What people in my case, and you don't know a lot about me, you don't know my education, you don't know my skill set, and you don't even know my story for the most part. And yet I get these really nasty comments. And they're not fun. And the thing is, they're not productive. And most of all, they're not productive for the person giving them. Because the person who is in that mindset is limiting themselves to remain in that mindset and not work on themselves to perhaps heal is not necessarily the right word, but move forward. Find ways of healing and coping, finding ways of improving yourself while you're going through PA. And yes, I hear the word victim a lot. It's not the word I like to use. I don't use the word victim personally. If that's something you identify with, then that's your word, and that's okay. All are welcome. Again, I'm not here to say yay or nay on any of this. I'm just kind of calling it out to say, we can do better. I think that's my, again, this is a real raw moment. This is always done in just one take. I don't script this. I just speak from my heart. I believe and I know that we can do better. I believe that we can take the energy that we use to attack each other to come together to create a unified front to fight PA. And while that sounds utopian, it's not impossible. You look throughout history has done more with a lot less resources than we have. Look at what we have access to. We have access to the world. What would happen if we chose to, quote unquote, lay down our arms? And it does not mean to stop fighting for PA, your children, or yourself. It means to change the nature of the fight. Round it out with compassion, round it out with learning, round it out with understanding. and round it out with a purpose of helping your fellow PA person, whether it be parent, grandparent, child, spouse, ex-spouse. There's no limit to the iterations of where PA, the tentacles of PA reach. So I'm going to flip this on its head as a final word. And I'm going to say, instead of saying, how dare you, I'm going to ask you, do you dare? Do you dare to fight in a different way? Do you dare to take a breath and consider another party's point of view? Do you dare to band together with somebody, even whose ideology, religion, political ideologies you may not share? Do you dare to look beyond those to a person's heart, to their hurt, to their sorrow, and lift up your fellow PA person? Do you dare to set your own emotions aside and work together in a place of compassion and empathy, and ultimately to band together to create change in PA? Let me know in the comments.